This evening, we're here to talk about the CHAN Technical Insights discussion. And this is a platform where we're going to take a deep, thoughtful look into the trends, performances, and game-changing insights from CHAN PAMOJA 2024. So over the next 1 hour, we've got members of the technical study group who are going to guide us through everything that they've observed and put their technical minds to it, and every observation that they've made that is going to be made there. So we've got the expert analysis, and they're all here. And what's the technical study group? Their role is study, analyze, and document every aspect of CAF competitions. This is the tactical systems, team organization, and also individual player performances. And they produce technical reports that are consumed by the technical directorate of the Confédération of African Football, and also make recommendations to member association coaches and development departments. They also select the man of the match, the best 11, the best player, the best goalkeeper, the best young talent. That is the job of the gentlemen who I will shortly be introducing. And remember that the work that they do influences the coaching standards, youth development, and tactical progress in African football. And so today, let's get to meet the 4 members of the technical study group at CHAN PAMOJA 2024. On my immediate left, CAF AFCON winner in 1996 with South Africa. He played for Lazio. He played for Bolton Wanderers. Matt Fish, welcome to Nairobi.
Good evening. Thank you very much.
Yes, and he's got his expertise in player psychology, leadership, youth development, making sure that there is a new crop of Bafana that are coming through. And if I'm not wrong, the young ones, they call them Amagluk. There's a name like that.
There's plenty, many names we have for young ones, but Amagluk is one of them.
Very good. And now we have a man who's not just a coach, but his background is in education. Oscar Rabson Mirambo. In Kenya, we would call him Mkufunzi as coach, but in Tanzania, they say Mwalimu. And welcome, he's a technical director with the TFF. He's a UEFA Pro license holder. He's a CAF Elite instructor and also a FIFA coach educator. And he's been a driving force in Tanzanian football. So whenever you see Fei Toto or Clement Mzize or Ea Manula, that's a man who's been working behind to bring, all those players there. New age grade systems, I'm sure Hemedi Morocco would be a big beneficiary of this, standardizing the coaching in Tanzania and ensuring that young talent is there. And then the man who has been working in Kenyan football for a very long time, Michael Amenga. He's a football administrator. He has been technical director at FKF, grassroots development, coach education, continental technical policy, and influencing the standards of football in the country is a big plus for him. And then from north of the border, and Ato Abraham Mebratu, Tenestalin. At least you can use the mic so they can hear you. Tenestalin. Yes, and he's a CAF Elite instructor. He has been a long-standing member of the technical study group. He's a former technical director of Ethiopia. He's coached the Walias and also Yemen, but the Walias being the Ethiopian national team, and the technical knowledge that he's picked up and working with the study groups has influenced a lot in African football. And so, having introduced my panel, let me just get straight to some general things, Mac, and I'll start with you. What has stood out for you when it comes to the tactical trends that you've observed in this year's CHAN PAMOJA 2024?
So, thank you very much. I think that, again, there are many different formations that are happening, but I would say that I think the most exciting thing is probably teams are a little bit more becoming, in their formations, becoming more proactive than reactive. So we are seeing teams, when we say 4-3-3, but when they have the ball in possession, it's a 3-5-2 or even a 2-5-3 formation. Players trying to get more in the opposition's 18-yard area and to create goal-scoring opportunities. So, being more attack-minded, I think, is one of the key aspects for me that I've seen. And needless to say, I think we've had on average probably 2 goals a game. So we have seen a lot of goals, and I think that's quite exciting for African football.
All right, Mwalimu Mirambo, what's your biggest observation from, the time that you've been working in Kampala?
The most thing that really stood up for me is the team structures, dynamics, on all the phases of the game. How do they attack? But again, how do they defend? Do they stay with the very same structure? Obviously not. So this is something which was really interesting, to see if at all, the coaches, they can bring football at that particular magnitude. Looking back where we are coming from, when the team is having this structure, it stays the same, offensive and defensive, which in some point you might be having a balance, or you might be not having a balance, depending much on what phase are you looking at.
So you were saying that they looked like soldiers marching previously, but now there is something different. Michael, to you, your observation.
Yeah, my observation is the variation of the systems and the versatility of the players in our group. It was quite commendable looking at Tanzania. The movement, the fluidity was quite good. Yeah.
And for you, Abraham?
Yeah, thank you very Thank you very much for having us here. And my colleagues, they have covered everything. But what I want to add is, in this tournament, we saw a very good defensive organization in all teams. And again, we saw creative midfielders and creative attackers that can change the games. This is what I think.
Well, the other thing is, basically, and it's a very big conversation that has also come through, even at FIFA tournaments. It's about individual performances as compared, to how teams do come together, put together, and make sure that they work as a unit. Let me start with you, Abraham. How have you seen that about players who stand out? For example, in Uganda, everyone is talking about Alan Okello, as one driving force. But how do they compare the individual performances vis-a-vis overall team performance?
Yeah, in this tournament, especially in Uganda, where me and Oscar we are working is, we have seen many young players that impact on the result of the national teams. For example, as you said, Alan Okello, he was one of the key players in Uganda. He was one of the best players in this tournament. And he is good in 1-1 situation, and he's good in dribbling, and he scores 3 goals and assists 2. And above all, he's very intelligent player. He's very intelligent player.
Mm-hmm. All right, Michael, from Dar es Salaam. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we could identify some individual players who are very brilliant in our group in Tanzania. Like the number 6 of Tanzania was quite brilliant, good dribbler, all time involved.
Faisal Sulam.
Yeah, he was very good. And also for Madagascar, you see the goalkeeper. He was 3 times man of the match. He really helped Madagascar qualify to this round.
Uh-huh. All right. Yeah. Oscar?
Yeah, I would talk about the holding midfield from South Africa, number 13. It's a young man. His football intelligence is phenomenal. The space awareness, is massive. But above all, I was even more happy with him. At some matches, the coach decided to play him as a central defender. But again, his performance was still, up there, which, speaks a lot in terms of the individual players' development in our continent.
All right. And Mark, let's talk about Zanzibar, for example. In what we saw last night, two teams, bar and draw, but it must have been a tough choice to make. Tell me, man.
No, definitely. So again, I think my colleagues, we can sit here and we mention individual players, and certainly we have individual players in Zanzibar. But I think if we listen to everyone's individual players, I think that we can. I would like to think that we agree that the intelligence. I think Abraham touched on it. The players that we are mentioning are individuals that are intelligent on the field, and they are versatile players, as you mentioned there now. So the versatility of players, that I think is becoming the key change in the football that is happening. We don't get just a specific player for a specific position. You must be able to play in defence and obviously in attack as well. So the versatility of players, I think, is the key of the players that have been mentioned here before.
And look, Abraham, you've been you're a long-serving member. Long-serving member of this TSG. And what is the most significant change in tactics applied if you compare with CHAN 2020 and CHAN 2022 in 2020 for this tournament?
Yeah, the most significant change that I observed in this tournament, most of the teams, they were well organized in defensive shape, and also making fast transition to score a goal, and using the wide angle. And also we saw what we don't see that much in the last AFCON, the inverted fullback. In this tournament, we have seen a lot. This is one of the improvements in this tournament.
In defending, because once they put up numbers in the midfield, then they can block any transition that is supposed to happen or any counter-attack against their own team. So that's why we say the emergence of the inverted fullback in our CHAN tournament is quite good looking.
And Mwalimu, an observation that you made when it comes to the application of tactics, having observed or even watched other CAF tournaments?
I think I'm happy with the execution of the set plays. I have seen teams really having a proper idea on how they want to execute their set plays, especially for the corners. Which again, if you look back where we are coming from, it wasn't much like teams they invested the time on preparing themselves tactically on how they want to execute in the corners, especially in the offensive phase.
And actually, when we came to AFCON 1996, this man became famous because of his runs down around set pieces. Being one of the biggest men in the Bafana team, he'd always move up and everyone expected ahead to be a goal. Execution of set plays for you.
Not only in set plays, tactically, certainly was unaware or just did whatever I wanted. But I think for me, the one of the key things is I think the players have become, it seems like it, at this level, become a lot more disciplined in executing the coach's structure of how he wants the team to play. And as an individual, again, we keep on touching on that, where an individual is expected, if he's an attacking player, he goes forward, but he's expected to defend, and vice versa. And players are seemingly adhering to the coach's instructions. So yes, we're going to have moments where goals are created because of opportunities and players' excellence and movement, but it just seems like there's a lot more discipline, and sticking to discipline is very key, because it's and I can say it, in African football we have individual brilliance, but at times we go a bit lackluster because we end up doing our own things. So to me, players are playing to the instructions of the coaches, and it looks good.
Well, a matter of discipline is something that we'll be discussing, much later. We've had 5 red cards already in this tournament, if you take this from the basic thing. But let's look at possession and transition, because for those of us who are here in Nairobi, we observe teams that can really possess. 2 nights ago we had Algeria, but we've seen Morocco play here. We've also seen DRC play that kind of football. What have you observed with teams and how they possess from defense into attack, or when they've got to go back and defend?
So possession it's an interesting topic, because we can see now that obviously the way teams possess the ball and how they want to attack and how they structure themselves to defend. But again, possession is where you have possession is the key, and what you do with your possession. So we are seeing where teams have the majority of possession and not necessarily winning, and not necessarily creating the most chances, where we're seeing teams not having the most possession and creating better opportunities. So possession is an interesting topic, but it is how teams, what they are doing with their possession, and obviously, as you mentioned, from the transition phase from defense into midfield and midfield into attack.
Oscar, let me come to you, and I want to talk about heat maps. This is where the activity is. From your observations in Group C and from the other matches that you've watched, where are you seeing concentration of play with most of the teams that have been in this tournament?
So far, it is at a midfield part of the field. because teams tend to keep a lot of possession centrally so that they can open the flanks, and that's why we are having majority of attacks so far through the wings. So if you look at that, and obviously, how do you create that space? How do you create all those wide spaces? Obviously, you have to keep the ball, centrally, so that the opposition team comes in trying to defend, and then you're having this open. So for what we have seen, especially in our group in Uganda, teams are really getting much congested centrally, but all of them having the very same intentions. It's like, how are they going to release their wide attackers?
And Michael, this is what I'd like to come in when you talk about this transition. And I can try use this as probably a formation, and how they move around the pitch, such that, and how much more space is being used, given, picking up from what Oscar has spoken.
When you talk about transitions, there's transition to defend and transition to attack. So first of all, my opinion and observation, most of the teams had slow counter-attacks. Slow counter-attacks because of the congestion in the midfield and because of the inverted fullbacks. And again, most of the transitions were incidental. Most of the counter-attacks were incidental because I didn't see any team that was organized staying back to counter-attack. So most of the teams were not organized in that scenario. So most of the teams, the counters they did was incidental, and you could see even South Africa scoring from that. You could see one goal from on our group from Tanzania. They also scored the same. So I can say that the counter-attacks were incidental. Then in terms of defensive, what I realized is most of the teams were slowly recovering deep into the midfield because of the fullbacks covering a very big distance, and that hindered their recovery back to the midfield or to the defense. Yeah.
Well, very interesting. And what would you like to add on? Because I know you were always on some bench like this, I know, with Oscar somewhere.
Yes, transition, starting from the 2018 World Cup, transition is a magic moment of football. Then also it was observed that in most world tournaments, many goals were scored from transition. But when we see this tournament, CHAN tournament, which is held in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, especially in Uganda that we observed, as Michael Amenga said, many teams, they were playing in medium block to avoid risk in their own half. And again, the number of the midfield players were more than the defenders. It was observed that they were playing with 3 back, and then this will help them to protect and to be conjunction and to play compact in midfield area. So when they regained the ball, as Michael said, the transition to attack was not well organized. But it is better, when the team make a transition from attack to defense, even though it is slow.
All right. Well, so quick transition, counter-attacks that are, purposeful, and that is something that, everyone would like to ask. But let's talk about defensive structures. Mac, you are defender, and within all analysis and any conversations that we've had, low block, high line, would also be talking about, zonal marking or even man-to-man marking. What's the one thing that you have seen with most teams?
I think you just mentioned all of it. I think that, again, for me, the key is what when we talk about set pieces, how teams have now the opportunity to look at the opposition and obviously how to plan. So set pieces, I think before we used to see many goals from set pieces. We don't see as many, and I think teams are better organized like that. I do believe that at individual structures of teams defensively obviously adds a lot to how they're going to attack. So I think, again, I touch on, and it's contradictory because we said this morning, we were saying how well teams are actually disciplined and organized, but then now we're talking about there's 2 goals per match being scored at the CHAN. But from the eye, it looks, that defenses are getting better. Again, the example we'll use, the 2 matches here, again, for Kenya against Angola, a very attack-minded team, and Morocco, a team that knows how to keep the ball and wants to create attack. So in certain stages, it seems like defensively the teams are becoming more aware, or individuals are becoming more aware of their jobs in the defensive structure of their teams.
Well, and talking about attacks, I think the Harambee Stars in those 2 matches were giving Kenyans heart attacks. So that's what we were trying to avoid anytime we're in this cauldron. And let me come to you. The zonal marking, Oscar, in this competition, how have you analyzed that?
Yeah, if you look at the games, actually, you cannot just single out. It's like the teams are doing, a zonal defense. Most of the teams, they're doing in a mixed defense. Zonal and money marking depends much, at what area of the field. We have seen, especially in set plays, if the team is defending corners, you cannot say it's like all the players they are either money marking, or all the players they are just taking care of the anticipated areas where the ball it might be. So what we have seen mostly is the mix defense of zonal marking and money marking. But again, as I said, it always depends much on what part of the field it is happening.
And Michael, let me come to you and let's talk about how coaches have been adapting to situations in the matches, because this is very important. You could see them, because we could see the coaches trying to give, instructions depending on what was happening in different situations. Your observation on that?
Yeah, they showed a good tactical flexibility, and to me, maybe to enhance on his point about defending, according to what we observed, it was they were varying. Some of the teams, due to the opponent's behavior, maybe pressing high, you could see defenders, the restarts could start in the half spaces. Then others were pressing medium block. Yeah, and what stood out for me, and I was like worried, is for Nigeria, because I didn't really understand which system Nigeria was playing in terms of defending, because I see 4-2-2, I didn't understand. And most probably you could see man-to-man marking, which is football before, not now, with modern football. So I think there's something to do with defending with our coaches. So we need to observe keenly in the next coming matches what happens.
Well, the coming matches are on Friday and Saturday, so there is a lot that we can observe. And the other one that I would like to ask Abraham is, what form of attack did you see as most, innovative within during the group phase of the tournament?
Yeah, in terms of attacking of teams, we saw the different variations and combination in attack. But most of the teams, they were trying to play by involving the fullbacks from behind and outnumber the opponent teams and using the width and making crosses and scores. And also in attacking phase, most of the teams now they are using creative and highly technical skilled players. That's why we saw many goals in this tournament.
Well, talking about many goals, and let me just drop you the numbers from this tournament, because 62 goals in CHAN 2022, but this tournament so far, 73 goals. Sudan have got the best conversion rate in terms of shots, 26%. That's a goal from every 4 shots that they do. A very big supply of that. the country with the most penalty goals, Uganda, they had 3, 2 in their last match against South Africa. Alan Okello has 3. We also have got Usama Lamliwi of Morocco and Tabiso Kutumelo of South Africa. Top assist maker is Mehdi of Morocco. He provided 3. Average shots on target per game, 6.42. Fewest goals scored, 0 by Niger. And Kenya, Sudan, and Senegal throughout the tournament conceded only 1 goal. Looking at this conversion rate, Mark Fish, of about 2 goals per game, how would you rate the tournament offensively?
Well, we can say there's an improvement. You just mentioned the stats of the goals. It's 11 goals more than the last tournament. That's why I say we look at the teams, the way they are attacking, and then we sit here and we say, well, the teams look more disciplined and structured in the defensive play. But I suppose that if we look at some of the goals that have been scored, we've seen a couple of penalties. And we've seen 1 or 2 really brilliant goals. When I say brilliant goals, we mentioned the second goal of South Africa to be scored. I think the goal that Madagascar scored in the last match as well was a surprise for the goalkeeper from where he shot. And there's been 1 or 2 goals. So, yeah, it's good to see there more goals. Although we're saying that the football is more structured and we are seeing many changes in the way the teams are setting up. But again, to see more goals is, I suppose, for fans and football fans, you want to see goals. I suppose for coaches, you want to score more goals, but you necessarily don't want to concede more goals.
Okay. And Mwalimu, let me come to this because it's very interesting. What we are seeing, goals from past generation, you'd see goals from outside the box, and now more are coming in from in the box. I think of set pieces, free kicks, and corner kicks. Headers coming through that. How is this defensive format, shifting the source of goals, where it's very compact?
Yeah, because now most of the things they are really, scientific, and such as they're outside there. So if at all you have to deny an opposition the scoring chances, which zones and which area you should be even taking care of. So obviously scoring from distance, because players and the opposition, they're having a good number, behind the ball, then the possibility is really limited. But again, the only way you can do it is maybe finding small spaces inside the box, because it's close to the goal, then the possibility for scoring is in there. Contrary to where we are coming from, we used to see, the long range, shots, and people manage to score. But now we talk about the transition here. Players, after losing the ball, all of them, they're lining behind the ball. So obviously the spaces and the time is being that much limited.
Michael, the pass completion rate in this tournament, very interesting. I mean, it could vary with a team. There are teams that would be on double. So let's talk about this. For example, passes completed per game, 558.
Yeah, my observation is teams embracing open play format. They want to go. So this embraces more build-up from each and every team, and the versatility of the players, mobility, the way they move, embraces only. You find most of the teams having a free player because of the movement. So that embraces more passing options and then moving forward and trying to score.
Yeah. Okay, so let me come to you, Abraham, and let's talk about the number of red cards issued in this tournament. I think the last one coming in, Congo had 1, but I'll focus on the one that Senegal got. You've got a player deep into the game. You already have a yellow card and a rush challenge, second yellow, red card. Player discipline and how coaches could be managing this. What have you observed from the 36 matches so far?
In such kind of tournament, discipline in the field is very, very, very important, because you don't have a time to replace or to change. And again, of course, coach always teach the players to be disciplined in the field, apart from showing a nice game in the field. So this will affect the performance of the teams. So whenever they get, for example, yellow with foul or with wasting time, they need to be careful to do not get the second yellow and red card. So it is very important to behave well inside the field so that you will help the team until the end of the tournament.
Yeah. Matt?
Yeah, no, I agree with Rob. And unfortunately for that individual, he's a very key player for that team. So to get the second yellow card, and it was in 90 plus.
Yes.
So yeah, that's just, he's disappointed himself and obviously his teammates. So that's players' psychology, and as you touched on there, it's reckless, and unfortunately it could cost him. It could be very costly.
Well, let's talk about the one player who's usually forgotten, even when people mention formations. The man who normally has got the jersey number 1, the goalkeepers. We've seen Ban Omondi from Kenya pick a Man of the Match award. We've seen Tony from Madagascar. You know, he's picked 3 Man of the Match awards. Yeah, 3 of them. And I'll start with you, Michael, because you've seen Tony in action. It's not just about the saves that he, but it's the general impact that he has on the team. What's the role of a keeper today, especially, you know, not just with his gloves, but also with his feet?
Yeah, the role of a keeper today in modern football, he is also an inside player. He helps in build-up, and you could see in our group, like the Madagascar keeper, he was really a leader, trying to coach. Even when they are down, he was trying his best. He was pushing Madagascar. He was covering the space behind the defense line well, and also recovering, positioning during set pieces. He was quite brilliant from him. So I think with modern football, we need goalkeepers who also can play with the foot, not only diving, but with the foot. And we could see most of them trying that. I only saw one from Mauritania who couldn't, but he tried. Yeah.
Well, you've heard it from Michael Amenga. We're having a technical study group discussion, and we'll be taking a short break. When we come back, we'll continue and talk more about, you know, the goalkeepers, but there is what the future holds for this tournament, and also, you know, the information that coaches, you know, should be picking up whenever they do the analysis, and also post CHAN PAMOJA 2024 after this short break.
The land of Harambee, tunainuka pamoja.
Tanzania is ready, nguvu ni moja.
Pearl of Africa, welcome everyone.
Under the floodlights of Zanzibar City's historic Aman Stadium, Group D of the 2024 TotalEnergies African Nations Championship comes alive tonight. Sudan lock horns with the defending champion Senegal in the final group stage match. He and Simben play alongside one another in defence in the Capital Club. Lovely ball now wide. Libaske, shot taken. It's powerful. It's a drive, but it's equal from Mohamed El Noor down into his left. Low and flat in at the near post, and it's turned into the side netting by Baji. Ahmed Abdul Razi, Wali Eldin Khadir behind the defence, and penalty. He skies it. Great chance here. Abdul Razi strikes a shot firmly, and another shot goes flying across the face of goal. That was well spotted by the referee. And that means Lee is going to be off. It's a second yellow card. It's a red card in added time, and he will miss the quarter-final tie. It ended 0-0 here in Zanzibar City between Sudan and Senegal.
And welcome to this continuing conversation with the technical study group of the CHAN PAMOJA 2024 and the members of the technical study group. We've got South Africa's man, which won the AFCON in 1996 with South Africa. We've got Oscar Mirambo, and he has technical director, TFF, the Tanzanian Football Federation. Michael Amenga has been technical director of the Football Kenya Federation, and Abraham Mebratu, he has been coach of the Ethiopian and Yemeni national teams, and they're the people who've been working together. We broke our conversations when talking about the role of the goalkeeper. Today we've seen goalkeepers winning man of the match awards. At least I can, off the top of my head, I count at least 6. And let me come to you, Abraham. Michael mentioned about the role of the goalkeepers, making all the plays. But a new change in regulations came in. Previously, if it was a goal kick, someone had to pick the ball from outside the 18-yard box. Now they can play inside the 18-yard box. How has that changed how quickly goalkeepers make their choices in that box?
Okay, for following the change of the laws of the game, it is very important to have technical players, a goalkeeper who are skillful in football. So as Michael mentioned, it was observed in this tournament, most of the goalkeepers, they were good in technique, they were good playing in feet. And also most of the goalkeepers, we saw that in ball distribution, not only in hand, in feet also, playing long and short passes, and they were key players in maintaining ball possession, playing with back four. And we saw many goalkeepers, like you mentioned, the Kenyan goalkeeper, the Madagascar goalkeeper, they were man of the match 3 times. But also, again, the goalkeeper of Uganda, he was man of the match at the same time. He had the same quality. So goalkeepers are the key players in a team. And what I saw a great improvement in this tournament is most of the goalkeepers, they were good, able to play with feet. Technically, they sound good. And the other thing, mentally they were tough. You can see the composure, the calmness, and they were good also in communication. Communication is a key in a game. So the goalkeepers, they were giving a clear instruction to organize their defense. That's why we saw a very good defensive organization in a game. And the other point, physically they were fit in jumping skill and the reflex, the power and the agility. Really, it was marvelous. So the skill of the goalkeepers in this tournament is getting better. And we saw not only goalkeepers, we have been seeing goalie.
The goalkeeping, But I am one also to say, yes, the goalkeeper's role has become more important, with the team's possession and obviously going forward. But for me, it's you have many goalkeepers that they have the ability with the feet, and obviously their distribution has been generally very, very good in this tournament. But at the end of the day, I'm still a firm believer that when we talk about defensive players, attacking, you must be versatile players, but always remember what your job is. So yes, we have goalkeepers that are good distribution, good with the feet, but your job is to catch the ball when it comes out to protect your team. And this is why I think that we have the Kenyan goalkeeper. Yes, we selected him as the goalkeeper of the group stage for this specific reason, because he is commanding, and you need to be commanding. There's nothing better as a defender when you have 10 players, you're defending, and you're tired, and your goalkeeper comes and he catches the ball when the ball's being crossed and helps you. So for me, those are still very, very important roles, and the goalkeeper has been very, very good this tournament. So as my colleagues have said, it's been impressive. And long may it continue. Mm-hmm. And what's the name for teacher?
Mwalimu.
Mwalimbo, what do you say?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's really interesting discussion about the goalkeeping and a goal player, as Abraham have said, because now we are looking at them in two different phases. When the team is out of possession, they are goalkeepers, yes, but when the teams they are in possession, they are the goal players. So from the very same understanding, we are talking about the number of passes in here. We are talking about the possession in here. But if at all now you can look in the details, most of the passes actually, they are coming on the team own first half. And the goalkeeper involvement is massive. So even the moment that we are seeing a lot of long balls is when the goalkeepers, they're getting much pressure. So that being the case, the role of the goalkeeper, it should not be overlooked, one. But two, again, it's down to the coaches and the way we're going to develop players from the grassroots. How can we also equip them in a sense that even under very big pressure, they cannot always opting for long balls, but again find a different solution.
Well, when you talk about possession and all of that, the first thing that you've got to do is what kind of player do you have and the technical quality of your players. So from a standpoint, how have you seen the first touch? Maybe we could start with you, Mark. First touch by a player anytime, for example, if it's a ball that has been lobbed and maybe he has got to control it maybe with his chest or put it down, the first touch.
The first touch is improved, and I'm going to say, because you're going to mention 1996 and how old I am. That's how old you make me feel. But
no, you're 30 years younger.
No, but defending, as we're talking about players of versatility, defenders have become so more. They're not just defenders. They are, as we're talking about goalkeepers. So the touch of players certainly, I think, certainly has improved, and I distinctly remember yesterday. There's a player which is number 15 for Sudan. The ball came down. Elmi, he controlled it. He turned and he played it over the back, the top of the Senegalese defense and put his play in attack. So the individual strength of class of African players will always be there, and I think we have seen some I don't want to say improvement, but we have seen players showcase that talent during the CHAN, this CHAN.
Ball retention, and mainly this is all about pass accuracy, Mwalimu.
Yeah, Mama, so far there is improvement, and that's why again we are speaking about the amount of passes that was successful. I'm comparing with the pass attempts. So obviously, you can see the upper hand in this pass success rather than I'm squandering all those particular passes. I don't want to sound here I'm a bit selfish, but if you look at individual teams and then you put them into zones, obviously the comfort with the ball is different. Yeah, I can take an example. If we look at the East African countries, to be specific, comparing with the Northern, Africa countries, the comfort of the ball is different. We East African at some point, we struggle with the ball. We are not that much, comfortable with the ball. Which again, when I think about it, obviously, I'm looking at how best we can work with our coach education department so that the coaches also, they can even now work hard on improving, the technical, points in terms of the players, especially for the first phase of development. And to be fair, Maki, he might, be a witness on this. Where we are coming from and where we are now is different. Back in the days, players not come at this stage of competition, then we have to be comfortable first on how we control the ball before controlling the game. The saying that Abraham prefers to say, and most, that teams are struggling to control the game because first they're not controlling the ball. So you have first to control the ball for you to control the game.
Well, yeah, Mark.
Yeah, but I think, isn't it a way, how do we rectify that? Do we try and get qualified coaches like yourselves to be coaching at youth levels? That is a challenge. We need that. This is part of the development we need.
If today we're gonna look to where we are coming from. Take an example from our MWs. The coaches with limited, qualities are the one who are dealing with the younger one. Do you understand? But again, we are talking about building the foundation. If at all I'm having not good quality at the building a foundation, obviously the house won't be there.
So you've been technical director. You have been technical director. He is a technical director. Mark Fish.
Just
that doesn't escapes this one for once. So Michael, I mean, developing this kind of players is one of the biggest challenges. I mean, Kenya once upon a time had a system, the Olympic youth system that produced players, I think, up to around 94, 95. But what's required such that this happens?
Yeah, we need to embrace youth football. We need to come up with youth leagues where we have conveyor belt that produces good players. We need to have good coaches, to produce good players. And to come back to your topic about the
fast
ball retention. I think in high level there is no space and time, and you need to have a good fast touch because the pressure is high, and that's why in this CHAN you could see, like he said, East African teams are struggling with fast touch. That is because of maybe past development, but you see for the Northerners, they are good in that, and I can say it is because maybe our infrastructure also, as we develop, what is our infrastructure? Yes, is it good? Am I passing in a good surface? You see, some things like that, because some techniques you need to develop in a good surface. Yeah, so I think that's my point.
Out of the breath.
Yeah, what I want to say is development in youth and development in the grassroots is very important to see the future strong national teams. So the nations that had a very good grassroots program and youth development program, okay, you can see they have a very good national teams. So it's obvious in Africa we have to work from the grassroots and youth development to see very good national teams on the top level. But again, the selection is very important for the coaches, to see a very good and beautiful football in a team. Okay, rather than selecting a physical player, our coach should focus on technical players that can help them in the field, okay, to possess the ball. So nowadays, ball possession, it's not only attacking. Okay, in modern football, ball possession is the best way of defending because the ball is with you. So the opponent team will not attack you. So that is the best way. You will not waste your power, you will not waste your energy, but just by possessing the ball, you can defend very well. So it is a key for defending also. So we need to work on the technical part, starting from the grassroots and following by youth development.
And actually, because, I mean, you're a CAF elite instructor. How much, should be done to ensure that coaches get the right education? For example, in Kenya, I know you start with the CAF D, go to the CBA Pro.
Start with introductory.
With the introductory, yes.
Introductory CAF D. Yes.
And you see, after the new convention introduced in Africa, Now the course content are different, and the syllabus and the coaching manuals are different now. It's not like previous. So from D license, C license is focused on grassroots and youth. So if we can invest a lot in D license and C license, then it will be easier to get quality players when they reach to the B license. And so in our region, as Oscar and Michael said, we have to work on the youth development program, but again also we have to work on the coach development program. That is very important. Parallelly, we have to work it.
All right. So Michael, let me come to you, and we talked about the first touch. Let's talk about final passes that was supposed to be, but just did not happen. We had one in this stadium, Kenya against Angola. The counter-attack was a goal that was cancelled out. Let's talk about such situations.
Yeah, such situations, I think it is individual skill, because when you have the ball, what are you supposed to do? In which position are you? In which part of the pitch are you? Okay? If it is maybe a penetrative pass for you to score, which technique are you using? You see, and all this is about the development we are talking about, from grassroots.
Intelligence, one-on-one situations, this is what really entertains people, but makes coaches mad if it goes wrong. Walimo, your assessment of, the one-on-ones that you've observed in the tournament.
Yeah, I think it's like, if at all we're going to go back on what we were just trying to explain, again, it's to answer that particular question, because this is, it is an individual tactic. At the very same time, it is an individual, technique in terms of it being a skill. How do you beat, the opposition, or do you win the ball from the opposition? How and when do you have to address this one? You're not trying to address, at a senior level, you know what I mean? This is something that need to be built when the players are being, taught while they are growing. So from the grassroots level and the youth level, if we can put a really emphasis on this, it's very obvious it's going to be a skill set of this particular players that we are talking about. And of course, the teams are really struggling, especially offensively on one-on-one situations. And sometimes you ask yourself, why do I have these players a wide player? If at all you cannot beat one, defender in front of you, then why do you have to play, in wide areas? But again, players are the victims, to be fair. Players are the victims, are the victims with the coaching, processes. If at all we get it right in terms of how, we develop these players, obviously, we're going to have that football that we are missing now, and then we're having these discussions.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mac.
It's a very, very interesting topic, this, because back in South Africa I do youth tournaments, and one of the things we do is we create pressure situations for individuals, having 10v7 and all these things, and to be a winner we have the penalties are 1v1, where you go from the semicircle and the halfway line, as you've seen before, and it's 10 seconds 1v1 the goalkeeper. And it is
the old America, the way the US started it.
And it is frightening at the age of 15, where players are struggling to be able to do 1v1. So if you are struggling at that level, and as you're saying, we're seeing at the higher level 1v1, the scoring rate is not what it should be. So more emphasis, yes, I know it is an individual talent, but certain things that I think that players at a young age are losing out on, or losing, certainly because of we don't have the quality of coaches that we should be having. But that's an interesting fact, because we're seeing it at this level, and I see it in South Africa, getting into communities, seeing it that the 1v1, sometimes we spoke earlier about scoring outside the 18-yard area. The game has changed, this I know. But the visual skill or ability of players sometimes oversees the team structure and the way they play, oversees the player's ability to do certain things that he can do, or should be doing.
Wow. Well, the African Nations Championship, that is CHAN, it was put up by the Confédération of African Football 16 years ago, and the focus was to give more players who are based in their domestic leagues more exposure to high-level football. And the main target was mainly the young players. I'll start with you, Mac. Looking at the young players, from Group D in Zanzibar, what's been your observation?
I don't know. I think we've touched on already on the young players that have coming through, and young players. It's impressive. Again, if we talk about development, we can say young players is 21, but now we look at the world, how the world is changing. 21 is not young anymore, is it? So, so it's a tough one. We got in our group in Zanzibar, we got a Senegalese player number 6. He's turning 16. So that's a young player, and the young players in the tournament, that is key. It gives them the exposure, and I think the nice thing that we saw with Tanzania is that some of the teams, they used the players that they had in the under 20, and they brought them together into the senior team. Now that is development. That is bringing the younger generation in with the more senior players, more accomplished players, and that's how you hopefully progress your national team going forward.
Actually, Michael, let me come to you, because Mauritania had a 17-year-old. I think Mauritania, yes. Yeah, one very young player. The Central African Republic also. We saw them play in back-to-back age grade tournaments, and those are the players they are bringing in. How does that help, expose these players to high-pressure situations?
And that's why we have such platforms as CHAN. That's why CHAN is important, so that those who don't have a chance to showcase their talent have now. And I would like to commend the CECAFA region, because, as you see, we are topping all the groups, and that reflects on our leagues, and that reflects on our development. And if you check on the coaches, how many foreign coaches do we have? Not more than 3. Majority are local. So that means even in the coaching pathway, we are trying something. And I believe, given time, we'll perform at our best.
From the two gentlemen who have been in Kampala, your observation of these young players who've been in that group?
In general, the impact of the young players in the tournament, it was really very, very good. We saw some young players like Alan Okello. He is one of the key players in Uganda in that tournament. He scored 3 goals and he has his two goals, and he's very creative, and in one-on-one situation he's good. So the impact of Alan Okello in Uganda is very good. We saw also some other players like the goalkeeper of Kenya. Yes. He is young, but he was also man of the match. In different positions, we saw young players who did a great impact in this tournament. Not only in the main squad, also coming off the bench, and we saw when they changed the results of the game.
Yes.
For example, the youngest scorer of this tournament, the Sudanese player, he came off the bench and he scored a very full goal. So the young players, they are not only playing, but also they are changing results in a team.
All right, thank you very much, Ato Abraham Bratu. He has been coach of the Ethiopian and Yemeni national teams. Michael Amenga, he has been technical director, Football Kenya Federation. Then we've got Mwalimu Oscar Mirambo, technical director, Tanzania Football Federation, and Mark Fish, African winner with South Africa 1996, and does a lot of youth development work there. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, members of the CHAN PAMOJA 2024 Technical Study Group, for being with us. And this concludes the CHAN Technical Insights discussion that you've had today. Let's carry today's knowledge forward and make sure that it impacts where it matters, in the grassroots. Thank you for being with us, and have a wonderful evening. On behalf of the team, I say thank you very much. My name is Daniel Wahab.